I just got to make sure right now that the microphone's working on YouTube and everything's going there. So let me grab that real quick, and then we'll get this show on the road. Always good to have a spiritual episode. It's just not even fair to do that. All right, so that's live. Let's see what we're doing. All right, let me see. Let's make sure that always good to have an chats. Welcome everybody. Episode. It's just not even fair to do that. All right, so that's live. Let's see what we're doing. All right, let me see. Let's make sure that all right, there we go. That is running. I wonder what. Let's skip to live. Skip to live. That's what I want to do. All right. I'm skip to live. I will monitor that somewhat. Yep. Cheers, Walker. Good to see you over there. And everybody, I'm checking this, and we're going to get this started for tonight. I want to let everybody know this is, I'm hoping, I wonder if it's just, I need to adjust this microphone. Nope, it wouldn't be that microphone. That's not the right microphone. This is the microphone. Yeah, that's fine. Let's get this out of here. All right, here we go. Is that everything's good on that mic? Yep. All right, we're going to get ready to get going. What we're going to do is we'll have 30-second ad where I have to be quiet, and then you'll hear our music, and we'll go from there. So we're starting tonight's Little Book, the Infinite podcast, and then also the importance of the states in the distribution of bourbon and whiskey. Here we go. What's going on? Why won't it do it? That is really annoying. Really? Well, I don't understand what's happening here. It's playing there. What is that? All right, we're going to just turn that off and try this. Let's try it again. It's not even fair what's going on here. I don't understand. It should be playing. It won't. So let's start off with this. I don't. Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey. It's, I don't know. Okay, let's try this again. There's no way that okay, so it goes to music. I'm gonna figure this out. Music. File. Okay, we're in music. Where is the The player's not even up. All right. There's royalty-free music. That shouldn't even be there. Alabama. What happened to this? I mean, it's something that I play all the time. Every single solid, and it doesn't work tonight. All right, let's try this. Let's dump it into the music program. There we go. And for some reason, publish, play. Wow. There we go. It's the classic. Drinking 30, sipping on scotch. We get a little wild and short for the watch. We know what to do with drinking every brew. Man, it's all sunshine, but we're telling the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Music we love, making some noise. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We really have fun and we hope you enjoy. We really have fun. All right, welcome back to another podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Talk about quirky. That is like almost impossible what just happened. But anyways, I'm Tiny here tonight to talk to you about Little Book The Infinite and about states and how they work into the distribution of the whiskey that and the bourbons that we get, especially the allocated. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. And then also remember www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Remember, I mean, I'm going to even say, I don't even understand what the heck is going on with this podcast. It's almost like if I look, I bet you didn't even make this public. It's like just one person on YouTube. It's really kind of, we'll see what happens if anybody else shows up or whatever. But www.Scotchy Bourbon Boys for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Glen Cairns. We've got Glen Cairns. We've got T-shirts, and we've got also bourbon balls coming soon. So if you want to talk about that, yeah, someone else came. If you want to talk about that, you know, get a hold of me. I'll get it out to you. You know, they're reasonable. I believe the T-shirts are 20 and the Glen Cairns with shipping are 18. So contact me for that. And then also the bourbon balls are going to be coming soon. They're going to be awesome. So you're going to want to do that. Remember, we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. And then all the major podcast formats, Apple, iHeart, Spotify. If you're listening on it, we're there. Just remember, like, listen, subscribe, comment, and leave good feedback. Everybody, yes, Spanky's here tonight. It's kind of cool to see. And we've also got Walker, checking us out on YouTube, trying to keep that and everything like that. I'm going to try tonight and do this, my goal, and it's been kind of a rough start, but let's get this thing on the road. What I want to do is give you a little bit of information about what's coming up for the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Our Christmas party is January 27th. It's a Friday. We will be doing Super Nash is coming up on the 26th, which is the day after Christmas. We're going to set up a lot of stuff, but Friday is usually the day that we do our bookers and our holiday podcast along with the bourbon of the year podcast. So look forward to our bourbon of the year podcast that'll be coming up. And then we have our Christmas party. It's Friday, December 27th, 7 p.m. Gervasi Vineyards at the Still House. The Still House at Gervasi. Gervasi is an awesome place. Michael Efferton is our bartender, and Sean over there. They take care of us. It's going to be a great time. There's light hors d'oeuvres, and then the pours will be fantastic. And we just have a good time. Plus, we have giveaways, and we all get together as a great big giant family. We try and have the whole group together. This is the one time a year that we all try and get there at once. Usually we're together throughout the year, but it's in parts and pieces. Some of us go to New Orleans, some of us go to Bourbon on the Bank, some of us go to Kentucky Bourbon Festival. It's just not always but at the Christmas party, we try and all get together at the Christmas party. Also, December 12th, Thursday, December 12th, we will be at Four Roses. 3 p.m. is when we're getting there. So I would say between 3:30 and 4 o'clock, we should be live on Facebook. And we will be there with Brent Elliott. So look forward to that one. March 7th, it's a ways away, but we will be doing a podcast at Maker's Mark with Rob Samuels. So those are some big podcasts coming up. I'm trying to set something up with Ryan Lane at Middle West Spirits. Look forward to that coming up. And we've got a ton of whiskey. We're going to be doing the two podcasts a week, Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 8:30 is when the podcasts start. And then also we should be we on Thursdays we do our Old Louisville Whiskey Company barrel bashing of a specific whiskey. Tonight I'm going to be talking about the little book, but we don't barrel bash it. We barrel bash that on the Thursday nights and give a nice rating system that we keep track of. Super Nash last week, I believe we barrel bashed our first two ever when we did Shanks and Bombergers because that was out and we were able to do that. Anyways, with that said, it seems like I'm a little bit bright tonight, but that's okay. Was hoping to have a guest, somebody to pop on as far as Super Nash or CT, but it's a busy time of the year and we all know that. But, let's get down to the one thing that I got, and it's kind of cool because I will share this screen tonight, and it is that. There we go. We are going to share. That should put up that onto Facebook. But it's Little Book, the Infinite Edition 1. That's what we got. It's an in-depth review, and it's Breaking Bourbon. Love Breaking Bourbon for what they come up with. They give you all the information. But one of the cool things about this particular release is it's a separate from the normal Little Book. It's Freddie. It's a blend, but even in the box, it's an open suspension box that you have to take the top off up here to drop it out. And then you got to pull her out, and it's in between. So, it won't fall out the back because it's got the little insert to not let it fall out the back, little plastic insert. But this is an open container. Unlike most Little Books, the regular Little Books, all the different chapters, this is that is in a contained box with a plastic insert. So there's a little difference there. Now, this little book, and I'll grab this glasses. The release date was August of 2024, so I had picked this up at the festival. It's really cool. Yeah, there's no reading the black gloss type on the black thing, and that's why I definitely have there's the card too. There's a card here, and the card is, I believe it opens up. This is a really cool thing. Oh, it's an envelope. Let's see what happens in the envelope. Well, hit this a little bit. Oh, get this. Here we go. Let's see what the envelope has to say. Pull that through. There's a So you open up the envelope. I don't have to pull that through. And there is a card in the envelope. I'm getting the card out. It's like I should have thought of this before. But it's almost like to not wreck it, you need a tweezers. But oh, what am I doing there? It's probably because I don't have the envelope opened up properly. Let's see. Yeah, that's what it was. There it is. All right, here comes the card. All right, so you can pull out the card. So the card says, "Welcome to the infinite Welcome to the Infinite. Through this series, I'll share a new side of Little Book. As always, each edition will tell a story, but this time it's not mine alone. This whiskey brings together bourbons distilled by my granddaddy, Booker, my dad, Fred, and me for the first time, blending our journeys as whiskey makers into a single liquid. It's been 3 generations in the making. Enjoy." So that's really kind of cool. Now on the back it says our very first edition, the liquid that will form the foundations of our infinity barrel. Once a year, I'll bottle some up for the world to try. Then I'll explore how to push the profile forward through blending. So savor this whiskey today and come back in a year for its next evolution. Addition: bourbon distilled by Booker lays the groundwork with notes of oak, char, and smoke. Fred's bourbon brings in the richness of dark fruit, cherry, and brown sweets, and it's all rounded out with bourbon I made where caramel, vanilla, and baking spices really shine through. Perfectly balanced, yes, unlike anything we've made before. This is release number one, blended. Now, part of me doesn't want to open this because it's like historic, you know what I mean? But the one thing that Fred, Freddie, and Booker will tell you, Booker's not made to sit on the shelf. It's made to be enjoyed. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We are going to enjoy this infinite. So, um, what we got here is the classification is straight bourbon. The company is Beam Suntory, as we know. Jim Beam Distillery, the James B. Beam Distillery. And then you've got, it was out of August 2024. The proof is 119.3. The age is a blend of bourbons aged 7 to 20 years. Undisclosed blend of 4 bourbons. Booker knows component Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, aged 20 years. Fred knows component Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, aged 14 years. And Freddie's is Kentucky Straight Bourbon, aged 7 years. And a shared family component Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, aged 8 years. Bright Amber, MSRP 200. I can hit it'll allow me to go to the official website and everything. But I will give you, I read about that. It is going to be an annual release. So right now, I want to go back. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm back to me. So I mean, it's kind of cool. This is just Freddie doing more with the collection. And it is something that when you have an aging collection, I mean, it's amazing that there's bourbon in here from Booker. It's 20 years old in here. So I'm going to open this. Here we go. It's got a wax seal that you break through, similar to Knob Creek. Toss that. And then I will cork it. Here we go. Here's the pop. There we go. So this is opened now. Now at first, I'm going to use Scotchy Bourbon Boys Glencairn for this. Here we go. Pull that out. I've been looking forward to this. Now I got a little story to tell. When we were at Kentucky Bourbon Festival this year, we were at the Man Cave with Sandy 2 times, and the first time we were there, the infinite bottle was not open, and that's one thing that I would never do. She's very open on saying you can drink anything that's there, but, you're not just gonna open up a brand new bottle of something or an old bottle that's not open. You just don't wanna do that. So, when we came back to do the podcast with her a couple days later, this bottle was open and I got to taste it. And it's an expensive bottle. I mean, $200. I think I actually paid 220 for it, but because I bought it at the festival, but I liked it. I mean, it tasted fantastic. It was worth, in my opinion, it was worth it. So that was really kind of a cool thing to be able to taste it in its main, in the environment that you would think, that environment that we're talking about is, the home of it. So let's just put this baby back in. Oh my God, what is going on there? Doesn't want to go. There we go. Pop back in, drop the little thing in to seal it so it can't drop out. There we go. It's a pretty damn cool bottle. Good packaging. Now, in the glass, in your Glencairn, I'm looking at it and it sticks, but it is thick. 119.8 proof. It's pretty high. It's delicious. I mean, it's the nose on this. This is a lot of little books are very unique and they challenge you from Kentucky whiskey. A lot of times there's malt in it, single malt in it, and then other times he's got rye in there, and he's even used Canadian rye. But this is, Freddie was really on a roll with the Infinite. Plus his chapter, I believe it was chapter 9, 10, 9, 8, 9, 10. What are his newest chapter? I was able to pick that up, but he also had Booker's The Reserves, and that was fantastic using older Bookers. So to be able to use whiskey that Booker, Fred, and Freddie, and then put it together in a blend, this is something special. The way that we know Fred, Freddie, and Sandy, to me, these are the kind of bourbons that you want to drink along with everybody and all your friends. And why I lost. There we go. So as we go, let's just take a look at it. All right. So the nose. There's definitely that peanut, but there's almost a saltine cracker. What is and some I was it's very much there's a lot of leather on this one. It's like you could pick up that char more like a pretzel. Something it hits my nose. I'm not it's salty. I really love the smell of it too. It smells fantastic. Whatever that. All right, let's take a sip. Wow. I definitely if you can get your hands on this bottle, this is one to share with people. I mean, the barrel strength, the hug is amazing. There's no doubt that the hug's amazing. So, wow. This bottle is even better than the caramel on the second It's very strong, leaning to char notes. That is a barrel strength bourbon with the nicest, oh, hug, flavors, nose. I mean, lately, what we've been drinking on the podcast have been just such fantastic expressions of awesome bourbon. I just think that the way that it's working, the way that it's going is just kind of amazing. The quality of bourbon that's being put out. I early on we used to taste, and that everything wasn't. There was things that I didn't like or whatever, but it's just I my palate's either fantastic or this is just doing what it's supposed to do. I want to make sure I do. And then everything. Yeah, I got all the technical things working tonight. I really like the fact that all my technical microphones and everything are working, and it's kind of cool. So everything's recording and going. That's kind of like a reprise of the last couple podcasts. I'll put that. So, anyways, leather, the char is there, and baking spices pop. But the John, the caramel though on the front palate is in vanilla. And the leather. But a lot of times when your leather and char are too overpowering, it tends to not be as delicious. But these are not powering. Um, this is like the caramel and then the right amount of everything afterwards. It's just a fantastic blend. This is what I mean, if I would pick. I could if I got stuck on a deserted island with 20 cases of this. I would be a happy camper. There's no doubt about it. All right. So tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about the states and a little bit get into the three-tiered. I was watching a seminar tonight or today a little bit about the three-tiered taxation. And the three-tiered taxation came out of Prohibition when once Prohibition ended. And before, well, and I will say that the hardest part about anything our government does, anything, I mean, doesn't matter who's in charge, whatever, is enforcement. And as you get older, you realize enforcement is, I don't know, this country realized and always has realized that we have laws and that we're free and that enforcement is a big issue on certain things like when prohibition happened and drugs, mainly marijuana. I mean, it is almost impossible to enforce some of the laws when people are participating or doing, just for instance, I guarantee you in this industry, the three-tiered taxation system is a great system for taxing the elk, spirits in this country for getting it all. So that the producers, so the main thing about it is that when they came up, first there was a taxation system that almost was impossible to enforce, and it basically encouraged people to make cheap liquor that people would drink in mass amounts. And there was competition between some of the cheaper liquors to get people to do it by offering it cheaper and then raise up the prices and that type of thing. Here in this, oh, there we go, I guess. Um, Here in this part of, what would you say, in this day and age, um, back then, they would there's no price control, which led to cheap imitations and crappy whiskey and people putting stuff in all to make a buck. And when they when Prohibition hit, organized crime came about and there was no taxation, but they were that was pretty much crazy what was happening then. The the mob and the people that ran the bootlegging and everything, they all made the money and the government made no money. And then when they finally came out of Prohibition, they wanted to make sure that the system they set up didn't encourage people to go out and drink and get drunk and lay in the streets like it did before. They wanted to come up with a system that encouraged people to buy and drink whiskey at home, still being able to drink at bars, but not the same way they were before. And this three-tier system happened, which then, when you set up a distillery and you do everything, it's kind of like, based off the volume of what you're producing. And then if you sell it, you know exactly what you're going to make. You know what you're going to make from the standpoint of the manufacturers or the distillers. You know what you're going to make as far as the distributors, and you know what you're going to make as far as the retailers. Now, retailers in different states, this is where the states come in. And right now, in a controlled state, what it does, the state owns the hard liquor. And then they put it in a consignment. It's kind of like a consignment shop. They own it and they say what the price should be, MSRP, and then it goes up for sale, and the retailer gets pays wholesale, and then the buyer buys it for retail, and that is what the profit between wholesale and retail is. Now, there was a lot of grocery stores and stuff doing stuff like that, and there still is. Now they watched what happened in the UK, and still, like for instance, here in the state of Ohio, because you have to sell it for what the state sells it for, and you make a certain margin. Although some of the grocery stores have it, none of our costs. We don't have a Total Wine here. We don't have, because it's a control state, we don't have alcohol sold at Sam's Club or Costco, unlike a state where, like Wisconsin or, I believe Illinois and Kentucky, you can, they distribute it and you pay a certain amount, but most people don't discount it because then they would lose money. They have to pay a certain amount of wholesale, and some run sales to get people in, but you can raise the price for it. And that's where the secondary market comes in a non controlled state. So if you walk into Kentucky, you see a lot of Weller down there, Weller Foolproof, Weller this, Weller that, because it's all selling for $250. I just picked up a Weller for $58.99 here in the state of Ohio because that's what happened when I got the Weller. So what it comes down to is the state, whether it's a control state or an open state, they still are in charge of the state taxes that have been applied and collecting from them. And also, you have the taxes that you pay. So the three-tier system is: you make it, you pay taxes on it. You get a stay of taxes on it while it's aging, and then how much you bottle, you pay taxes on that. when it goes to the distributor. So you basically bottle and sell it to the distributor. That's what they make. Then the distributor distributes it to the retailer. Now, in the state of Ohio, the distributor is the state of Ohio because it's a control state. So, in the case of right now, now that was a very, very negative thing to start off when I started and throughout for a long time because the state had a lot of taxes on it. They weren't interested in anything. There wasn't this big, huge boom. There were no allocation kind of things. And you were paying more here because the state was running it. And then it was very hard to sell in the state of Ohio because it didn't sell the same way everybody else did. You had to basically look at Ohio as the distributor. Now, there are distributors here that help out, but their role is greatly diminished because the state of Ohio is the one. The distributors can go into different places for with the distilleries and market their products so they sell more. But for the most, and the distributors, when that happens, they basically access the whiskey from the state of Ohio that they bring along. So there's just all these different rules. Whereas in Kentucky, the distributor basically, and they just had an issue where the distributor with the Buffalo Trace was not participating fairly in how they were distributing. They were giving deals. Well, they were giving allocations to places that would sell more of other products, like for instance, Tito's. If they bought this amount of cases of Tito's, they might be able to get an allocation of Pappy or Stag or whatever. So they were doing that kind of thing in a non-control state, and so the distributor wasn't being up and up. And so here in Ohio, that could never happen because it's the state of Ohio, and the state of Ohio has been taking the distribution aspect to a new level. We just had a thing called Single Barrel Saturday, and Single Barrel Saturday was pretty phenomenal. It was pretty cool. So it basically was the state did a bunch of barrel picks, so they released the most barrels in one day, and they're just single barrels bottled ready for sale than anybody else has ever. This has never happened before. We've done this for 3 years now, but this year we basically keep setting records. And the amount of whiskey that was purchased this year was amazing. Last year there was stuff left on the shelves and whatnot. This year there wasn't anything left. I went back and there was just minimal things that sold out by the end of the week. The state of Ohio has been just doing a fantastic thing. Now they're doing they know us as collectors, but they also know we like scavenger hunts. And we're all scavenger hunting for tickets right now for different releases. One is the Prohibition series from Buffalo Trace, 5 brands I've never heard of, and they basically are selling them as a group and in a raffle. So we enter in the raffle at the store, have a really good chance to. It's not like they just have one; they have a bunch, and we have a chance to then go if we get our names picked. We could go in and buy that particular bottle or series. So it's pretty fantastic what's been going on here in the state of Ohio based off the distribution aspect of how they've taken it further than any distributor that in any state that I know of. So it's all participating in the three-tier process. So the state of Ohio is very important to the consumer right now in how much of the really, really sought after alcohol and mainly bourbons and whiskeys that's happening here. I think right now our market eventually will take over I believe we're number 3 right now, but I think we're going to go to number 2 soon. It's just that this is working so well. And I see in a lot of places people are talking about a bourbon, what would you say, that the bourbon boom has started to taper off. It hasn't tapered off there. It has not tapered off in Ohio. So it's just amazing that while everybody else is kind of seeing this, they have come up with things to make Ohio bourbon drinkers having the most fun, getting the best whiskey, and it's just keeping the boom running here in Ohio. I mean, Freddie Johnson came up. They did a in-store lottery for some high-end Buffalo Trace stuff, and basically they did it in Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, and Canton, and all four places, 85, six bottles of $8,500 bourbon sold out during the event. It's just crazy what has been happening here. So, that's what I wanted to talk about because our state has been coming up with such a good, what would you say? It's been so awesome as far as, what our state has been able to do. Now, John, you're in Chicago. You seem to be able to get some decent amount of people in Wisconsin. So, what I always want to say is each state seems to figure out different things for their consumer market. But once again, that three-tier system with the taxation is put in place by the federal government and the states. So, in order to basically keep alcohol from getting out of control like it did before prohibition, and it's based off of health. So there's responsibility. The distillers make the whiskey. Their responsibility is to make good, what would you say, good, clean, non-tainted alcohol that will their responsibility is to make it so that the alcohol they have is the most. I'm what am I looking for? It's not that it's not tainted. Their responsibility is to make sure that they're not poisoning their customers. And through alcohol, you can slowly poison your customer. You can do certain things that throughout time people have done, left some of the heads in and the chemicals, which make it more addictive. I mean, there's so many things that were happening back in before prohibition that the distillers today have cleaned up the industry. They've made it safe. That's what they have to make sure that what they're distilling is safe for consumption. Then the distributors, their job is to make sure that what's going out is getting to the different places and it's fair and even to where the distribution is going. And then the retailer's job, which would be bars, restaurants, and agencies, they're supposed to be in the communities, and especially bars and restaurants, if someone is overserved or doing anything, they're supposed to stop them from, what it is. So there's this responsibility of these three tiers that they instead of, and then the other aspect of what I wanted to say is the tiers are not allowed to cross or have people in the different tiers. So if you're a distiller, you have people who talk to the distributor, but you don't have people in the distribution part of it. And you don't have people in the retail part of it. You have they're all separate from each other. So that keeps it the way that the people who set up the rules after prohibition. Now, there's a lot of people who argue is that not only did they do it that way on purpose, they will say that not only did they do it, they were doing that of what they tout they're doing in this three-tier taxation. but it was to maximize their ability to collect the taxes that they couldn't and weren't able to collect before Prohibition and during Prohibition. I mean, during Prohibition, they cleaned up the streets. That's what happened. Everybody was still drinking during Prohibition, which is just crazy. I mean, they say that there's a bunch of reasons why Prohibition ended and it was appealed or whatever, but the main reason why is that when you think about it, it's 13 years later. There wasn't enough whiskey for the politicians. The politicians all along were drinking whiskey along with what they were shipping up and out of Kentucky. But what was getting out of Kentucky was running out after 13 years. There wasn't a lot left, and nobody was making it. They didn't have to make it from the time Prohibition went in. They didn't have to make it. The barrels were ready to be served up. They weren't making it anymore. They just had to get it out of Kentucky, ship it to the Midwest and up into the East Coast. um, so that really is what happened. So there's a lot of different reasons for it, but overall, you know, it's like there's two different aspects you can go with: what the government tells you and the conspiracy theory behind it. And one way or another, all I can say is that when you see large corporations like Beam Suntory or owning Maker's Mark and the James B. Beam Distillery, there's enough money for everybody to go around based off of Americans. Now, they were saying that Americans going into were heavy drinkers. And it was causing health problems and whatnot and problems with at home or whatever. But all I'm going to say to you guys is that the reason why Americans were heavy drinkers because life was hard. And this was one way to combat the rugged, hard, depressing life that was the 1800s. I don't care what you say, death was all around you at all times. Uh, there wasn't, this was the whiskey was the medicine. I mean, during Prohibition, it still was the medicine. It's what doctors prescribed for coughs. That's what they prescribed for fevers. That's what they prescribed. I mean, it was the medicine. And it wasn't until antibiotics and, that and penicillin that's changed. So, but it's not like now. It's like, yes, we have our own situations, but people just don't, your kids, you can go through life without having your children die in the winter or somebody starve to death or something happen that costs you right now that there's that costs you your food supply. I mean, honestly, it's a lot different now. We drink for mainly enjoyment and relaxation. Now, in the 20, when you're getting into prohibition, people were having fun and they were drinking for the same thing, but it's still life was still hard back then. I mean, you went into the Great Depression. I mean, still food on the table, disease running wild. I mean, there's a reason why people were heavy drinkers back then. Right now, life's pretty good. So that's not what we do this for. We don't heavy drink, you know. So let's get back to the. I think I covered that for you guys, and let's get back to this little book. I think Freddie's done an amazing job. I let this sit a little bit longer, and you want to know what's on the nose now? There's cherry. I'm going to share the screen one more time. Let's share this screen one more time for breaking bourbon, and we'll just get into it a little bit further. I got that. Let's hit share. All right. So, Little Book is an annual limited release curated by Freddie No, Jim Beam's eighth generation master distiller, now in its eighth edition as of May 2024. Past releases have included unique blends of varying types of whiskey, with each release being a one off expression. Little Book, the Infinite Edition 1, is the brand's first line extension and inaugural release. The edition blends 4 bourbons, 3 distilled by each generation, no family distiller, son, father, and grandfather, who are being 6th, 7th, and 8th generation master distillers, and 1 joint family component. For this initial batch, 70% of the blend was bottled, and the remaining 30% was put into tanks to prevent further aging. The tanked portion will form the foundation for what will become an annual release that builds upon the base blend, adding an additional component or components and creating an ever evolving infinite whiskey blend. That is cool. That's just cool. So this nose, they say a wave of cinnamon and dark chocolate. I don't get that. Underlying oak, I got that. Ample spice and comes across hot at first, and then ethanol rolls out of the glass. The whiskey aroma, I'm picking up the cherry now, giving to dense caramel sweetness, dark fruits, that's dark fruit, and a hint of smoke. And it's like a fresh cherry, like, but develops into a rich introduction the more time you spend with it. I get the cinnamon, I get the ethanol, and I'm getting some cherry, and I get a little bit of pepper. And there's a little bit of caramel in there now. My right nostril has been the main one lately, and then the left one's not the worst. All right. It's just amazing what it does in the glass. Yep. The palate sip is bold up front with all the whiskey proof points working to create intensity at the onset. Baking spices, as John said, I much prefer Booker's over the Robitussin small batch. Great caramel. So, what Robitussin small batch? What are you talking about, John? I'm just asking. Um, Rich caramel, graham cracker, Booker's over Robitussin small batch. I don't know what you're talking about on the Robitussin. Let me know about that. Age, oak, cinnamon, vanilla, custard, weave in, conventional, sipped, hefty mouthfeel is a familiar nutty Booker's bourbon undertone, but doesn't taste exactly like high age Booker's. While it's somewhat punchy up front, the palate is thoroughly enjoyable once you get past the whiskey's initial wave of the heat was enjoyable in the first place. It's got such a nice hug. Damn, it's a good bourbon. Um, they say the Little Book series has been fun to follow, as similar to Heaven Hills Parker Heritage Collection. That was silly from your medicinal talk about how whiskey was used back in the day as medicine. Yeah, I guess I enjoy Booker's better than the but still, I guarantee you uh that Prohibition Buffalo Trace, if we could get our hands on that, and I would love that to be the first lottery I ever won in the state of Ohio. I'm gonna be filling out my card tonight. It's in my wife's purse. Each release is different than the last. Little Book is a wild card line for Beam, giving master distiller Freddie the freedom to blend just about anything for any given release. Bringing the concept of the infinite into the fold is an appropriate brand extension for Little Book. Its highlights and generational Beam distillers, while also layering in the concept of creative expression. Concept follows the general infinite blend, which has been an ongoing whiskey community phenomenon. Commercially available releases include Barrel Craft Infinite Barrel Project and Solera aged whiskeys like Hill Rock Estate Distillery Solera aged bourbon or Blade and Bow bourbon. To be clear, however, the remaining portion of Little Book, the Infinite, was not left in barrels like the Solera method, but instead was tanked to preserve its exact flavor profile for future editions. All right, so that's enough from that. Let's get that off. Stop share. All right. everybody. Um, what I'd like to say, it's a cool concept, right? I mean, honestly, a very cool concept. And then, uh, what was I going to say? There's so much that can be done, but the uniqueness. Okay, so that's the last and final point before I got to go. I would say that I made some wine back in 2004. And initially, I thought I drank it all in 2021. Thought I drank the last bottle, but there was two more bottles left, and they're still there. But the thing is that when you make something and you keep going further and further down the line, and it really has done well with age, and I'm hoping that to crack one of these bottles coming up with my friends to share. It's not bourbon, but it's something I made in 2003. It was actually it was 2003. And I would say that it's similar to what's happening to what Booker distilled, because Booker passed away, I believe, in 2004. So his last year of distilling is 20 years old now. And or that he was associated with distilling. I mean, I don't know what exactly he was associated with and how far he actually went. I should ask Sandy or Fred or Freddie that. But his alcohol is starting to become where it's going to be too old or running out of what he did. And I know the feeling because there's only two bottles of what I have, and it's special. So to be able to have Freddie put this into the little book, what his grandpa made a long time ago, is very kind of a special thing. Plus, he combined it with what his dad's making or made and what he's making. And it's kind of a special tribute to when you think about three generations of distillers, um, what they did, and 20 years ago it was a different time. I mean, it's a different time now, and 20 years from now it's going to be a different time. Soil, corn, everything is different. So all I got to say is this little book is fantastic. I would strongly suggest anybody who comes across it, it's worth the money. So you gotta check that out. You gotta actually, it's worth it. So all right, less technical difficulties now. Let's hope so. And remember, www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Remember Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. Check us out. We were live YouTube. We were live on Facebook. We've been posting on X and Instagram lately, and more followers we have there. It's great. Thank you, everybody who's on the Facebook and commenting. John, we had John Spanky. To try that someday sounds amazing. Spanky, all you got to do is come over to my house. I'll share it with you. We're what, 15 minutes away, so let's plan on getting together. And then also, remember, we're on all the podcast formats: Apple, iHeart, Spotify, whatever you're listening to, we're there. But remember, like, listen, supply, like, listen. What was I saying? Like, listen. Wow. Comment. Oh my God. Hey, Terry, thanks for watching. I can't believe I'm not saying the process. Like, listen. That is crazy. That's crazy. Oh, there you go. It's not there. But remember, comment and leave good feedback. Remember, I can remember this part. Remember, good bourbon equals, thank you, John. Why? Okay. Like, listen, subscribe, comment, and leave good feedback. I actually said I started to say it. That is, I appreciate it. But remember, good bourbon equals good times and good friends. Make sure you drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive, and live your life uncut and unfiltered. And little Steve-O's gonna take us out. That worked. Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask what. There we go, screwing up again. Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you we must die. Oh my God. Wow, I agree with that, John. There's always a better time. But that's just me. Let's just quick do the audio, man. Okay, improve voice quality. There's no background. Shorten pauses. Manage crosstalk. Improve clarity. Let's do that and save it. Publish to for uploading. Infinite, which I am impressed with. Scotchy Bourbon Boys, save. All right, so we're building that. We're still live, Facebook, YouTube. Not a lot of people on YouTube tonight. That is kind of concerning. I must have screwed something up with that. Somehow I have to figure out this. I don't understand what's going on half the time. I will. I think I got the microphones down tonight, at least. The sound seemed to be good on all levels, so hopefully that'll be good. I know I popped this back in, but I'm going to give Roxy some of this because this little book, Infinite, was, I mean, this, when you think about it, a 20-year, there's a 20-year in there. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool. Fantastic job, Freddie. I mean, so John, you have this bottle. I'm taking it, and then Walker. Let's see, is Walker come back over and go? Who do we got tonight? Do we got Terry? I know Spanky was watching. Who's left? I'll check in on Facebook. Who's left? I have no idea. And yeah, on YouTube now. Now we're picking up. Cheers! Tonight we were doing the Little Book Infinite. It's right here. I'll push that up. That's a pretty cool. That. And then yeah, Matt, we can do that. We could do a live together. Actually, I could invite you and you could have come on the YouTube, or invite you to come on the yeah, I could come, you could come on the YouTube. I'll send you a YouTube link and a link so you can be on both. Then you can watch so we can do it. Yeah, that sounds good. Found the 2024-04 bottle. I haven't cracked it yet. Oh, you did find it. That's what I'm looking for right now. I heard that it's Jimmy's batch, if I'm not mistaken, which should match up with this, which I was able to pick up in the state of Ohio this week. Um, which this will be our Thursday afternoon wild turkey or morning, probably right around 11 a.m. I love to do the Thanksgiving wild turkey podcast, and I've got Jimmy Russell's 70-year That's going to be great. In Strongsville? What the heck? Oh, so that means it's going to be so that was released this week. So that means it should be at my Giant Eagle Saturday. All right. Excellent. Excellent, Matt. I really want I think I'm going to buy two. I think I just think it's one you should. I mean, how often does that's a cross brand blend. It's Jimmy Russell. I mean, it's his blend. I mean, that's kind of genius in my opinion. I don't even know how they pulled it off, you know. So anyways, yeah, no problem. I'm headed up to Wisconsin with Randy Prass for the Packer game. So I'm excited. We're going to leave like real early Saturday morning. We should be in Wisconsin by 10 o'clock, and we're 7 hours away. So I'll figure that one out. But I'll try and pull. Yeah. So if I'm leaving on Saturday, I'm missing the Bookers. So I got to hit Bookers in Illinois or Wisconsin when I'm going up there. Got to hopefully I can pick that up at. Uh, I think my wife's going to want to stop off at her mom's, and there is a Piggly Wiggly and an Otto's right there in Grafton, Sheboygan area that I'll probably hit up to see if it's there. This is a good one. I can't drink it. I just got to have her drink it. All right, everybody. I am going to turn off the YouTube. I know the YouTube was probably a little bit low tonight because I somehow screwed it up. But next Thursday, I should have it under control. Here we go. Good night.